what we call the car room. This is Hank's 47 Cadillac, and it's wonderful to have it here. It was restored, as you can see. You can imagine that's him with the Cadillac right there. It's a 47 Cadillac. He had got a little letter from RCA in Montreal, and they asked him to come up and do some recording. So he went into a dealer in Moncton, New Brunswick, Cadillac dealer, and he's actually kind of talked him into letting him have this car on time. And I'll tell you, that's a real thing, because Hank had no money at all. But he needed something to carry his horse. He had his horse in just a wooden carrier that he had behind the car. And he knew he needed something pretty strong to be able to carry it all the way. His son was here, and his son's name is Jimmy Rogers. No, I know, it's Jimmy Rogers. He was Hank's idol. You know, Hank loved him. Anyway, he came down and he was telling me, he said that carrier that they had for the horse, at one end, he was supposed to have a place for his mother and father him when they were on the road. He said, now, if you look at this, and this was the carrier, he said that little spot there would be exactly for Mom and Dad, the rest was the horse. So he said we were always bunched up in it. He said it was quite a trip, I can just imagine. But anyway, this 47, he gave it to somebody in his band, and it went down through the generations. And a guy in Petitcodiac, New Brunswick, saw it on auction apparently, picked it up, and it was in really bad shape. We bought it from him, and we had it restored, so that's pretty nice. So over here, we have the 74 Cadillac. And this 74 Cadillac, very interesting story about the 74 Cadillac, and I'll tell you why. He called us up, and he said, look, I have a 74 Cadillac that's in Cars of Stars. He said, would you guys like to have it? Because he said, you know, they asked me to take it out, and I would like for you guys to have it. Well, of course, we wanted it. Of course, there was no question. Two of our guys flew down. One of them was a mechanic. Good thing, because 13 miles out of Nashville, the car broke down. Well, it had been 10 years in a, it had been 10 years in a warehouse type place that they have. And of course, all of the rubber that was inside disintegrated. So the guy fixed it and brings back, it's a great car. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. It has very few miles on it, and it's so comfortable. So I was always happy that we were able to get that car. So we have the 47 and the 74. So, you know, it's quite wonderful. Also, we have a wonderful mural on the wall that you'll see. And we had called up Hank, and we said, listen, Hank, we're thinking of doing a mural for our wall. Who would you like on it? So he gave us all these names. And you'll notice that the people have names above them. Well, we have summer students, and they didn't know who they were. So we put the names up there for them. And you'll see who they are. So come over and see, and I'll show you that this is actually a canvas. It's actually a painting. And a guy in Nashville, an artist in Nashville, did it for us. And of course, we've got Hank Snow's idols, Ray Price and Ernest Tubb, who actually were responsible for Hank Snow's success. Ray Price invited Hank to come down to Texas, and Ray Price invited him to the Opry. Now you say, how did he ever get to be friends with these guys? Well, they loved Jimmy Rogers, and they loved Jimmy Rogers' train songs. And so Hank became their pen pals, because he loved them. And so he wrote to these people, and of course they got to know him through the, you know, in those days, everybody was writing letters. And so they got to know him, and that's how he got to go to Texas. People in Texas loved him way before he went to the Opry. They loved him in Texas. They played his records on the radio. People would go and see him when he was there, and that's so nice, and that was because of Ray Price. Then the Opry became about, he got there because of Ernest Tubb, and Ernest took him to the Opry. Now, it's interesting that when you see this, because I'll just tell you that after he got to the Opry and did some recordings, here are some of the 169 LPs. You'll see them here on the wall. There's some of them. And 169, and that's a lot of albums, prolific amount of albums for anybody to do. And he had 169. When, a few years ago when I first came here, I got a call from a guy in New York. He said, look, I have 81, or no, he didn't say 81. He said, I have some Hank Snow albums. Would you guys like them? He said, the thing is, I'm older, my children don't want them. I said, yes. UPS came to the door and brought me boxes of albums, pristine Hank Snow albums. And I think about 14 or 16 that we don't have. And so I was thinking I'd have to rearrange these, but I had a guy was visiting here from Illinois, and he said, when I was telling him about it, and I said, what a job that's going to be. And he said, lady, if I were you, he said, I'd put them up here, and I put donated by, and he said, that's what I would do with them. He said, I would not take those down. And I thought, what a great idea, so that's what I'm going to do. We're going to put the albums up here. So this is this room, and this is